How is your teaching different to that of other teachers about Buddhism?
The difference of my teaching is that I want to make it very clear, to the audience about the practice, okay, the practice one, and the goal. Let's say the goal first, okay. The goal of Buddhism, a lot of people, even the Buddhists themselves, they like to think that nirvana is something that is impossible. I don't know whether you think like that before or not. Did you ever think that nirvana is
impossible? I never
impossible?
thought it was impossible. Maybe not reachable in this lifetime, but
yeah.
certainly possible in the future.
In the future, yeah. As for my part, I like to make it very clear to people that nirvana, or the end of suffering, okay, it is a very possible aim for people to reach. That is something that I said it quite clear for people, and then trying to make the means clearer to them as well, by condensing the means into something that I call bringing the mental self back home, okay, which the Buddha called the 4 foundations of mindfulness, or vipassana. You heard of vipassana, or the 4 foundations of mindfulness?
I have.
Yeah. Okay. So it is still a very, to a lot of Buddhists, they still think that it's not for them. It's nothing to do with them. So it is my part to try to tell people that, look, everyone will have the nature of the suffering. Okay. So I try to use the tools to help, aid people's understanding by showing them that this life form, which make up of your body and your mind, okay, this is your body, and then this is your brain, and then you have the nature of the mind that you call one word mind. But in fact the word mind, according to the Buddha, is separate into 4 different entities. All these things, it need to be clarified, okay, and try to let them to admit that they have the state of the suffering. A lot of people think that suffering got to be something in the something that happened only in Calcutta in India, with all the beggars, living a very poor life. That is the meaning of suffering in the Western world. They like to think so. My husband thinks so anyway. But I try to get them to know that suffering, in fact, is happened to everyone's, in their mind. Whenever you have something that you have dissatisfaction, you have anger, you have envy, you have jealousy, you have worry, anxiety, this state that I call boom, 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 like this. This is the nature of suffering, in human being, which every single human being they all have. Now, once you recognize this nature of suffering, you can work on it by know that the teaching of the Buddha, which is called the 4 foundations of mindfulness, or vipassana, which are called bringing your mental self back home, is the actual practice that can bring all this nature that of unsettlement, to a standstill. This standstill called peace, or inner peace, or stability, or harmony, or whatever. Okay, so I try to make the practice clear to them as to how you can achieve this inner peace, and you can do it right now, right here, which the means is very, simple. Would you like me to show you?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I separate things like this for them. So I told them that you have the nature of the physical self, and then this is the nature of the mental self, okay, which compared to this bottle, the physical self, you have your brain here, the head and your brain, compared to your physical self here, and then you also have the nature of the mind. Now, in this bottle, I put the red flowers in it. Want to separate for you to know that the nature that the Western people call mind, in fact, can be separate into 2 different entities, that which later on I will call Tom and Jerry. But this red part, at the moment, I call mental self, okay, which in fact is the nature of consciousness, the nature of human consciousness. And this nature of consciousness, okay, is attached very much to our thoughts, memories, and feelings, which I compare them to all these things, Jerry. You see, these three things, Jerry. Now, where all these Jerry come from? Now, this is your thought, your memories, and your feelings, okay, which represent the water in here, attached to your mind. These are the nature, which I call, they are the carrier, okay, the carrier of all your problem that come in from the external world, the events that you meet every day, which come in the form of, let's say, sight, okay, sound, smell, taste, and texture, okay. Your physical self have to deal with all the different kind of events in your daily life, okay, both good and bad, okay, both good and bad.
These are the five senses.
Yes, this is the five senses. The five sensual organs act like the bridges, which bring the information of the event that come to you in the form of sight, sound, smell, taste, and texture, okay. You might go and have argument with your girlfriend, and all these things, is come as a problem that in the form of sight, the sight of your girlfriend, the sound of the row, the argument that you have, all these things, okay. The Buddha tried to make things easier for us by saying that whichever problem that you have, it doesn't matter. All these problems, it will, in the end, it will condense into the problems that come with sight, come with sound, come with smell, come with taste, come with texture, okay, which will travel past, all these are the data or the information which will travel past your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, and your skin, and then into the inner world, and then turn into your memories, your thought, and your feelings. So memories, thought, and feelings are actually the carrier of all your problems from the external world into your inner world, and turn into what I call Jerry, which in the energy form. And as you know, energy, they do expand, don't they? Energy can expand very quickly. So this energy, they can expand very quickly. So I compare them to the three sergeant major, that can bring a whole army of mice like this, into your inner world, and then create the state that I call the mental black forest, over your mental self, which this nature is very much like this, the nature of your mind being shaken. This is the nature of the unsettlement. You see, this whole army of Jerry represent the water, and then shake your mental self into the state that the Buddha calls suffering.
So when we suffer, the mind gets agitated. Discontentment,
instability, all these things. Okay, the mild scale from that you call stress, worry, anxiety, all these things. This is all the nature of suffering in the Buddha's term already. Okay, so don't think that the nature of suffering is only happening in India, in the slum, that's all. No, it's nothing like that. It's happened to everyone's mind. Whenever that you have this unsettlement, I'd like you to know that at that time you have this whole army of Jerrys, bombarding your mental self, hurting you, all these things, thumping you, bullying you, and cause the state of suffering. So Buddhism is nothing more than trying to get rid of all these problems in your mind in the form of thoughts, memories, and feelings that has been attacking you. That's all. Trying to get rid of them with the means that the Buddha called the four foundation of mindfulness, or vipassana, which I call bringing your mental self back home. Okay? I don't know whether this answer you, is it clear?
Yeah. So you don't actually get rid of the problems themselves, you just stop them impinging upon you. They still happen, but you then stopping them having any effect on you.
Yes. The external problem is still there. Okay? But the important point is that if you can get rid of all this jerry in the form of thoughts, memory, feelings that is impinging on your mind, you know, which cause the state like this, okay? Let's talk about black jerry first, you know, the negative problem that impinging on you, like anger, discontentment, or agitation, or anything. Do you ever have any of these problems? Yes,
I
of
think
course.
it's only natural that most human
Yes,
beings.
natural. Yeah, you're very correct. Okay, every human being, they all have this kind of problem. So, what happened is that bringing your mental self back home, if suppose you have a lot of jerry, you know, impinging here, you from left, right, and center like this. Now, vipassana, the full foundation of mindfulness, or bring your mental self back home, is the very practice, a very direct practice that can get rid of all this cause all this worry, anxiety, stress, all these things in your mind. Okay? Now, once you get rid of it, the external problem is still there. But in here, you have resolved it. In fact, you resolve it by getting the very source of the problem, by thinking. If you think about your problem, you have the problem. But if you don't think about it, even though your problem exists, it's not a problem in your heart, because it doesn't hurt you, it doesn't impinge you, it doesn't attack you. So your mind will become stronger. You will have the inner energy to deal with the external problem accordingly. Okay? Like at the moment, in Bangkok, in Thailand, we have the flooded problem, right? The flooding is everywhere in Bangkok, and somewhere it's come as far high as your chest or your waist or this thing, which is a huge problem, okay? A huge problem. The non-practitioner will be bombarded because of the flood, okay? You got the perception of the flood, and your life has been turning upside down, or this thing. So, of course, all these problems from externally, which are the flood, pour into your inner world, become your jerry. You become angry of the situation, you become, you know, so worried about the future, you become, you know, impatient when it's the flood going, all these things. So your mind become like this, boom, 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 like this. And with all the media, you know, pounding to you about the flood, all these things, you know, you cannot run away from all this jerry in your head, thinking about the problem, thinking, worry about the future, okay? This happened to the non-practitioner who don't know how to bring the mental self back home. So the mind will, of course, be like this, boom, 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 like this all the time. In the contrary, if you know how to bring your mental self back home by use your mental eye to know your breathing, know your movement, know your sensation. By doing this, all this mental, all this thought, you know, worry about the problem, about the flood, everything, it will be reduced. It will be taken away. Will be taken away. You say bit by bit. So if you're very skillful, you'll be able to bring your mental self back home by use your mental eye to know your breathing, movement, and sensation. All this jerry will be, you know, reduced from your mind. Okay, will be reduced from your mind. You will gain inner peace. You gain inner peace, even though the flood hasn't receded yet. The flood is still very much
Just
there.
Stop worrying about it.
The flood is, yeah, exactly.
It's not worrying you anymore.
The flood is still very much there, but you don't have worry anymore.
You're not worrying about
Yeah.
the future anymore. The present
It's true.
problems.
You might have worry about the future, but maybe in the way that is not actually attack you like this. Okay, you may think about it, you know, okay, but you will have the inner strength to resolve the problem as best as you can. But if there is nothing that you can do about the flood, if the flood is still there, it won't recede, you have the patience. You have the patience that the non-practitioner do not have. That the non-practitioner do not have. Okay? Because the non-practitioner, they will, oh gosh, they will keep on talking and moaning and really stress out. You know, really stress out. Whereas the practitioner, they try to get rid of their jerry, okay, and then deal with the situation accordingly. They will have a lot of patience, and they can also, you know, help other people as well nearby by not adding too many questions, by talking about the worries with them. This is the helping in this way. Okay.
So is this fundamentally a Buddhist teaching?
This is, in fact, the essence of Buddhism. That is a very good question. Okay, the very core of Buddhism is about trying to resolve the problem at source.